Senators is moving to protect special counsel Robert Mueller. The lawmakers moved after the feds raided the home and office of President Trump's personal lawyer, Michael Cohen. Mr. Trump lashed out at the special counsel Wednesday morning. He blamed Mueller and the Russia investigations for poor relations with the Kremlin. Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders was asked to explain what he meant at the White House press briefing.
The president has been extremely clear that the constant focus of the fact that the president and his campaign had any collusion with Russia has hurt those relationships. The president has maintained for a very long time that the United States and Russia having a good relationship is good for the world. He certainly still believes that. But at the same time, that's hampered the ability to do so, as well as the actions, particularly the bad actions that Russia has taken, including meddling in our election, among other things. But tying the president to that has created a lot of unnecessary problems.
NPR congressional reporter Scott Detrow joins us from Washington to talk about this. Scott, we just said there Sarah Sanders explaining the White House policy, and she was asked a number of times if President Trump intended to fire the special counsel or the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein. She said there were no personnel decisions to announce, but she didn't deny it. And yesterday, Secretary Sanders said she believes, or President Trump believes, he can fire Mueller. Just give us a gut check here. What happens if President Trump did fire Rosenstein in an effort to get rid of Mueller?
You know, that's a great question, because over and over again, Republicans, especially Senate Republicans in Congress, have said that that would be a clear red line in their point of view. You've heard increasingly stark warnings to Trump from Senate Republicans in recent days, saying it would be suicide. It would be the beginning of the end of your presidency. That's Lindsey Graham and I believe Chuck Grassley making those specific points lately. But when you press lawmakers on what they mean, when you say, OK, if Trump did fire Mueller, what would you do? It's pretty unclear. But I think certainly on the Democratic side, for sure, if Trump fired Mueller, that would really bring the conversation about impeachment to the forefront. I think you would see it become a top-tier issue in terms of Democrats saying they would begin impeachment proceedings if they took back control of the House. But what Republicans would do, I think that's still unclear, and that's why it's notable that you had two Republicans, Tom Tillis and Lindsey Graham, taking this step today to get back behind this bill that would offer some protection to Mueller.
Meanwhile, you have other bombshells taking place on Capitol Hill right now. Wednesday, House Speaker Paul Ryan announced he would not seek re-election in the fall. He's not calling it a resignation. You've got 24 Republican members of the House retiring in 2018. 5 have resigned. 13 are running for other offices. And you also have the bombshell this past weekend of Michael Cohen's office being raided by the FBI. How concerned are Republicans right now of their losses, their predicted losses, come November's midterms?
Well, when you talk to them on camera, they're not concerned at all, and they say they have a great chance of keeping control of the House of Representatives. But when you turn the microphone off and you turn the camera off and they're speaking more bluntly, Republicans are seriously concerned. There's no question about that. You add up all of the indicators of what typically leads to a big wave election, and they're there. The record number of retirements that you just mentioned. Now it includes the sitting Speaker of the House, somebody only 3 years to his term as House Speaker, and somebody who should be in the prime of his political career. I think it's really telling that Paul Ryan is choosing to step down at the end of the year, even though he does have some legitimate personal reasons to make that decision. You look at President Trump's approval rating, still historically low, even if it's gone up a little bit lately. And you look at the amount of money being raised, the amount of candidates running, there is a clear enthusiasm gap. And especially after last month's big upset special election win in Western Pennsylvania, I think Democrats are feeling really good, and I think Republicans are feeling incredibly concerned about their chances right now.
How will all of this affect their fundraising efforts? Ryan has been a prolific fundraiser for the GOP. Are we likely to see him out on the stump for other Republican candidates later this year or not? What's the calculation there, do you think?
He said he's going to continue doing that, but I think it gets a little tougher because it's all symbolic, right? You're trying to convince people to put their money behind your efforts, and at the same time you're saying, I'm not going to be a part of this re-election campaign. I'm not running for re-election myself. So when the top of your conference is saying that it's not worth running again for him, I think that does send a clear message, and I think you may see a drop-off in fundraising.
Really is such a stunning moment there in Washington and the balance of power in politics. Scott Detrow, thanks for talking to us about it all, joining us from Washington.
Sure thing.